Hello everyone and welcome to Music Theory with Gim. In this installment of Analyzing Melody, we're going to delve into Diddle's organ from Legend of Mana on the PlayStation. Before we get into any music theory, however, let's take a listen to the music. The theme is set in the tonality of F, with its mode being minor. Harmonically, there are two main progressions. In the first progression, we hear F minor, the 1, D flat major, the flat 6, A flat major, the flat 3, and E flat major, the flat 7, with each chord sounding for half a measure's duration, which is the harmonic rhythm used throughout the theme. Following these four chords, we hear an alternation of D flat major and E flat major twice over. After hearing this progression a second time, the theme moves on to its final section, introducing the second main progression. In this progression, we hear an alternation of A flat major and G flat major, the chromatic flat 2 chord, for 2 measures, followed by the 4 chords A flat major, E flat major over G, the flat 7/6, F minor, and lastly C major, the 5. Upon arriving to C major, the theme cadences and hits its loop point. Now that we have a basic understanding of the harmony, let's proceed to the analysis of the melody. During the first section of the theme, the melody is built structurally around F moving to and from its upper neighbor tone, G. The motion of F to G initially spans 2 measures and is primarily embellished with 2 layers of notes. The first layer is an ascending outline of an F minor triad, which sounds F, leaping up to A flat and then C. Upon arriving to C, the melody will then descend directly to G. The second layer essentially fills in all of the leaps with stepwise motion, creating a number of passing tones, although technically, B flat does backtrack to A flat, creating a leap from A flat to C. The only notes remaining are the initial C, which displaces the structural note F to the end of 1, providing the melody a much bouncier and livelier sound. And then there is the repeat of G at the end of measure 2, which is really acting as a lead-in to the following measure. When we arrive to measure 3, we hear the previous 2-measure idea compressed to a single measure. As a result, the core idea is still structurally F being expanded by its upper neighbor tone, G, only at twice the rate. This core idea in measure 3 is simply embellished by leaps to and from C. This strips the melody of the many embellishments heard in measures 1 and 2, leaving only the apex. Aside from this, we have only the embellishing G from the preceding measure. The final note of measure 3, G, is like that of measure 2. It is used to lead into the following measure. And when we get into measure 4, we hear the same core idea, only now we have rhythmic variation sounding the ascent from F to C on the end of 1, and we also have stepwise motion for the descent from C to G. Altogether, the melody of these 4 measures is basically just expanding the note F. Considering the opening section of a piece of music is often tasked with the presentation function, or presenting and establishing the tonality, it's certainly a solid choice to structurally focus on the tonic. In measures 5 through 8, the same melody occurs, only this time it is harmonized almost entirely a third below. Since there are no changes made to the primary melody, we're going to bypass these measures and jump to measure 9. Like before, we're dealing with 4 measures that are split into 2 equally sized portions. Similar to the previous section, the core idea here is to establish a structural tone, which is C, and then embellish it with an upper neighbor tone, this time being D flat. When the first layer of embellishment is added to the core idea, we are given unfolding thirds. In measure 9, this sounds C descending by third to A flat, and D flat descending by third to B flat. In measure 10, C again descends to A flat, but D flat will ascend by third to F. This is most likely a result of wanting to create variation, but this also produces the apex of the entire theme, which is, interestingly enough, the tonic F. The second embellishing layer fills in the unfolding thirds with stepwise motion, and it does so with quite a bit of rhythmic variety. Every time C descends to A flat, the rhythm is a dotted quarter note followed by 2 16th notes. When D flat descends to B flat, the rhythm consists of a quarter note, dotted eighth note, and a 16th note. When D flat ascends to F, however, we hear the rhythm of a quarter note followed by 2 eighth notes. So we have a repeating rhythmic figure and then 2 variations of that rhythmic figure. In measure 11, we hear the same melodic idea, only now the second half of the measure is harmonized by E flat major over G. This change in harmonic design helps indicate the structural change in measure 12, which sounds C descending to G. Rather than leap directly to it, however, we hear it descend with stepwise motion passing through B flat and A flat. So in this section, the theme clearly departs from the tonic area in order to develop other areas of the tonality. And it certainly makes sense that following measures 1 through 8, which hover around the tonic, this section will shift elsewhere. Now that we know how the melody is built measure to measure in each of the 2 sections, let's take a look at a reduction of the melody as a whole. With a global perspective, we can see that measures 1 through 8 are structurally based on the tonic F, which is expanded by its upper neighbor tone, G. Structurally, the harmony can be reduced to the tonic chord, F minor. When we hit the second section, the melody shifts structurally to the dominant C, which is harmonically supported by the mediant A flat major. After being prolonged for a short while by its upper neighbor tone, D flat, C structurally descends and cadences to G, which is supported by the dominant harmony, C major. So altogether, we have a melody that starts at F, leaps to C, and then walks down to G as a means to ultimately return to F, with the structural harmonies being F minor, A flat major, and C major. And now that we have both a local and global understanding of the melody, we're ready to take another listen to the theme in full and bring this episode to a close. As you listen to it, try to be mindful of both the local and global designs of the theme. For instance, notice how C makes regular appearances throughout the theme, but only attains a structural status in the final section. For those of you that are patrons, you'll be gaining access to a PDF that contains this analysis. I do not expect to make any additional commentaries on this particular piece, but if that happens, you'll certainly gain access to those as well. Of course, as my patrons, should you happen to have any questions regarding this analysis or the theme as a whole, certainly reach out to me. For those of you that are not patrons but would like to support my endeavors, be certain to subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment below, and share this video as often as you can on social media platforms. If you find yourself wanting to take your support to the next level, hop on over to patreon.com/gim and consider pledging some coin. If you're not a user of Patreon or simply would like to make a one-time financial contribution, you can do so via PayPal, the link to which is in the description below. These videos certainly take a lot of time and effort, so any support on your end is greatly appreciated. Either way, until next time, thank you for watching this episode of Music Theory with Gim.